Many years ago, a marketing effect called ESPerfect came out. It was a routine that was, to me, nothing new. I've been doing a very similar mind match card trick using regular cards for many years. But the ESP card match kind of added a different angle to it. Now, many people talk about this and how wonderful it is. It's a pretty straightforward trick. This is my variation. It may not be how the original works, but it achieves the same effect at the end of the day. And the way that I used to do this was you would show two packets of cards. There's a red packet of 5 cards and there's 5 blueback cards as well. The faces are identical. There's 2 sets, and you're probably familiar with these type of symbols, circles, stars, squares, etc., because both packets match card for card. We take the 5 cards of red and the 5 cards of blue. We ask the spectator which packet they want to use. Let's say they want to use the red, but they do have a free choice. You then take the blue and you mix them up. You give them a shuffle as best you can, and you get the spectator to also shuffle these cards. It really is a genuine shuffle. There's no stacked order. Once they've shuffled, I go through the cards, and so that they don't see my card, because I don't want to influence their choice, I'm going to pick out one of my cards at random and place it upon the table. Now the spectator has a free choice of their card, and they pick out any one of their cards. We then get the spectator to pick up my card and put it on top of his pack. I pick up their chosen card. Remember, they chose this themselves. At the same time, we both flip our cards over. Now the spectator happened to choose this one, the red square. When they turn over the card I gave them before they made their choice, it matches perfectly, and you can see that their card matches my card exactly, and there you have a perfect match. Now remember, I could have chosen any of these cards, but what makes this trick even better is the kicker at the end. You ask the spectator, they were obviously thinking of the square with great intensity. Make their mind a blank, and as quick as they make their mind a blank, their cards become blank, blank, blankety, blank. Now that's one of the routines. What I would then do is to take the cards and we'll get rid of the red backed cards. That leaves me with 5 ESP symbols. Let's take this experiment a little bit further. What I'm going to do is try to control their mind. And so they don't see, I'm going to mix up my 5 cards, and I'm going to choose one of these, just one, and I'm going to place it face down on the table. Now the spectator has a free choice now, because I'm now holding 4 cards. Now let's say the spectator chooses a card. You ask them, just call out any of the symbols. Let's say it's the square. This is a free choice. I know you don't believe me, but it is a free choice. And without doing any funny moves, you'll see that I'm left with these 4 symbols. It really was the square that I placed down. Let's go one stage further. Let me now take my second card. That's my second card. Now that leaves me with 3 symbols on there. You then ask the spectator to choose any of the remaining 4 symbols, and let's say that they choose the plus symbol. You'll notice the 3 that I'm left with are the wavy line, circle and star. It really was the plus that I put down. I'm then going to mix these up. This one as my 4th choice. That leaves me with 1 card. You then ask them to name the card that I've just put down. They may say the circle. Now if that is the circle that I've just laid down, then I must be left with the wavy line. And I'm left with the wavy line. Okay. Now the routine you've just seen performed is a variation on marketed effects, but the effect is nothing new. It's been used in various routines. I used to use a routine many years ago, back in the early 80s, where I would have a prediction match a freely chosen card, and it used the same principle of 2 cards as 1. Let me explain. For the first routine, you'll need some red-backed blank faced cards. Now there's 5 blank faced cards here, okay, red backed. The other cards are blue backed, and what I have are 5 regular ESP symbols and a duplicate. There's a duplicate one of these. It can be any symbol. In my routine it happened to be the square. You put these all together like that. The red cards can go on top like that. Now you can show the cards blues and reds. Now there's actually 6 blue, but they won't notice that. You can do a buckle count if you want, but that's that. I then tend to then show the faces. Some magicians don't, if you don't want to spoil or use the ending I use, and I just do the standard Hammond count where I swap the packet on here. You're not counting the cards, you're not making a big deal of it, you're just showing 2 sets of identical symbol cards. Now when you come to separate the packets, you do give them a choice. They're going to use the red ones, which are the blank ones, but you use Magician's Force. So let's say they have those. When you mix up the cards, they can mix them up face down so they don't look at the cards. Sometimes on the table is better. You're then going to take or make sure that you've got your 2 square or your duplicate symbols on the top. You then take one of the cards and place it face down. As soon as you do that, you ask them to pick one of their shuffled cards. It doesn't matter which one because they're all blank. But while they're doing that, you get a break under the top card. When they give you their card, you put it on top. They put theirs on top. You then turn this over, and of course it reveals this. In fact, you've done a double turnover. Okay, so there's the card. Their blank card goes on there. You turn both over. It's a double lift. Now, and then they turn over your card, and there's your first miracle that they match. Now, just on here, I know that some magicians don't feel comfortable with the cards lining up when you drop them, but what I find is that if they're a fairly new deck of cards, you can get away with just squaring them up, and I just do a quick buckle and drop, and you'll notice that they're perfectly in line. Even close up, the edges are perfect on that. As long as I don't touch that, they drop perfectly onto the table. What I will do is pick up this and just kind of lay it on top, just so it covers some of the edges just in case. And you'll notice in the routine I eventually deal these on top to make sure that if anything moves it doesn't reveal the blank. Now if you've got an older deck of cards, what some magicians will do is that on the back of this card they will smear a little bit of Magician's wax. I think double-sided tape is a little bit too harsh, but you may use that, but just a little bit of Magician's wax. I just get it on a finger and just do a light rubbing on the edge so that when you have the cards and you've got a break, you put their chosen card on top. You just do a slight pressure push on the edge. That will keep them together so you can hand them more freely and turn over and drop them and everything else. That's the first part of the routine. The second part, once you've revealed that they're all blank as the kicker, you can end at that. I tend to go on to a next stage, and what I do is I scoop these up because I want to get rid of this blank here that I'm hiding. So I scoop these up and I get rid of all of the red cards. Now they think I've got 5 cards here. In fact there's 6 cards. There's a duplicate. The next part is just purely handling of the cards. There's no magic at all to the second routine. What you do, you always keep them to yourself. You deal one of the duplicate cards down first of all, and you say, I've made a choice. You then spread the cards. Now, if they mention they think that you've laid the square down, then you just turn your hand over to show. But if you're good with cards and manipulation, if they said the circle, okay, which is there, what you do is say, I've got 4 cards. You square the cards up, and what I would do is I would then pull out these cards to show these 4. I'm hiding the circle behind here. Okay, that's what I'm left with. Because they see those 4, not the circle, they just assume that's the circle. It's now the one ahead principle trick, because when you square these up, the next card you're going to put down is the circle. That's the one they just chose, and you lay that down. You then spread 3 cards. It doesn't matter the order. As soon as they mention a card, if they said the one that's hidden, which is the cross, you just lay your hand down like I did in the routine to reveal that the cross is hidden. If they said, for example, the square, what you do, you just square them up. You say the 3 cards I'm left with is this one, and this one. They will assume that the square is down there. So you can see it's a very misleading routine, but very simple, because if you can hide a card in just dealing a fan, then you'll know how this routine works. So I then just square the cards up. I'm then going to deal the square next. Now I have to give the illusion I've got 2 cards. So I'm going to hold 2 cards like that. Okay, there's one behind there. Now if they said the next card I'd lay down is a star, then you just turn your hand over, and that's brilliant. You don't have to do anything, and they're just amazed that the star's not there. It must be the one you've laid down. In fact, it's behind there. If they said the wavy line, then you just square these up and then just turn over and do that to hide the wavy line. If they said the square, the plus, then before you show them, you would then just take the wavy line, put it on top, and then just do a back pull from back of the packet to reveal these. I'm sure that if you watch this video a few times, and magicians will know how to hide one card when they spread a fan, and you'll get an idea, and you get used to it. You don't even have to think about it. Now on the final one, because they chose the plus symbol, I'll then lay down 2 cards. I'll get this onto the face and I lay down 2 cards because I want the plus to be the next one, and then I've got the star behind it and I lay this down. There's 2 cards as one. Now you then ask them to name a card. Now if they said the wavy line, you could build this up and say, believe it or not, the wavy line, the card in my hand is the card that you've finally chosen, the wavy line. If they said the star, then you say, if the star is the one I laid down, then I've got the wavy line. So you can see that you change your pattern to suit which one they choose. But when you put this down, you gather up the cards. Remember, you have got 6 cards. Onto the revealing of the order, and sometimes I even get people to write down the symbols as they're calling them out. So when they're writing them down, you've got plenty of time to do your spread when you're showing the cards. But we're left with these cards. Now a simple way is to deal them onto the table, or you can do it this way. The wavy line was the one you just changed, and then what I do is I put this at the bottom. Then you chose the star and the plus, the square and the circle. And you can then just reveal them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There they are there. You're holding 2 cards as one here. But this routine, play around with it. There are no hard and fast rules and instructions for this, but you get the idea. It's kind of a one ahead principle, and I'm sure that you'll find other ways of performing that. And that's a great little ESP set.